Welcome to paint night tonight, guys. Happy Thursday. Been a minute. Excited to see ya. We got some really cool things planned for tonight. We're getting ready for the Stephen Courtley show. That's this coming weekend. Not this weekend, but the following weekend, Memorial Day weekend. Gonna kick it off the 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st. So, really exciting news about that. There's been 4 collaborations with myself and Stephen Courtley. We actually sold one of the final few collaborations, Healing Waters. That was actually collected today, so very excited about that. Limited editions are still available of all these. Pure Joy, that one sold 2 shows back. And Nights of Lights, the last time Stephen Courtley was here, that sold right off the easel as him and I created that piece on the booze cruise. And there's one left. It's the Basilica. So we still have the original of the Basilica, and we actually have limited editions of all 4 pieces. Something I wanted to share with you guys, which is really neat, with Stephen coming out here, both of us hand embellished the artist proofs of those pieces. You still have time. We're creating a few of each of those to be ready so that if you want to collect one at the show or prior to the show, then we can actually both hand embellish your piece. You can schedule a time to see your piece hand embellished by myself and Stephen Courtley at the show. So really excited about that. Also, I think we're starting to get originals for the Stephen Courtley show. And Roman, do we have those? You've got the pieces and the titles.
Yeah.
What do we got?
So we have Night in Venice.
Awesome.
And then we have a Lifetime of Gifts.
And that's inspired because we're going to have a dueling piano show. So he's like, I want to paint a piano.
It's going to be exciting.
I know. I love it.
Then we have The Gathering.
And that's actually, I'm going to say it's not available.
Okay.
And Steve's probably shaking his head right now. No, I love the sunflowers. It's really available. These are available also. But I love the sunflower. No, face shaking her head, no. Oh, yeah, that's sold too already.
Man.
Wait. Okay, not really. Not really. There's an ongoing thing about sunflowers where I've been trying to trade them, but we keep selling them before I get an opportunity. He did a surfboard for us.
This one's cool because it's actually the second surfboard he's owned.
Really?
Yeah, so it's personal to him.
Wow.
And then we have another one called Timeless Light. The Spirit of France.
Spirit of France. And he actually, I got to see this in person today. We actually just got it to our frame studio. And he's used gold leaf within the label. It is awesome.
Oh, wow. And this one's Timeless Light.
Nice. Very classic seascape. I said, hey, I want some seascapes for St. Augustine. And some roses.
Yeah, this one's called Evening.
Love it.
And then A Lifetime of Love is what I see here.
Do you know what the size of that is, Roman?
I think it's a 50 by 20.
That big?
It's big, yeah.
Awesome. Very cool.
So Timeless Light is also 50 by 20.
Is also, okay.
Yeah, he's bringing some big pieces.
Perfect over the couch, over, living room piece, or over the bed. I love that. Those are really neat sizes. Perfect for something like that. Well, I've been trying to get prepared for the show. I've had some neat random things that I've got to do. And then also, I really needed some inspiration. So I did something I haven't done in forever. I got up early and got to see the sunrise today. And I actually got a little footage for you guys while I was out there. And I got some really good, great photography. It's one of those things where the alarm goes off around 6 in the morning. I'm like, do I want to go out or not? I checked the surf report and I was like, oh, there's good waves. I looked outside, I saw some clouds off in the horizon. I'm like, it's gonna be a good day. And I got so much good footage. And really, guys, the biggest thing I just gotta share with you, it's fun to create, but I think it's so important to get out and experience that. I've really got to do some really neat things. We've got like the cigar piece that's kind of hiding behind me in the background that I've been working on. I've got some other random pieces that I've been working on. But in all honesty, I was going, man, the creative juice tank's a little low. What's going on? It'd been so long since I got out and shot some photography. And so got out there today. I think I have like my 2 favorite shots that we took. Let's see if you have those. Yes. And I almost started that today. I'm actually going to change that into like a square composition, and I love that. I love those colors in there, so I think I'm gonna go color with that. And then here's the other one, and I just love that morning light. And I almost went color, but I said, you know, let's play around with the composition and let's bring it into a classic black and white. So there it is. Not enough contrast in this when you go to just to that black and white mode, right? So that's what we're gonna work on tonight. I think we have where I'm currently at, just to give you, that's an awful photo. We're gonna go live to the shot that we have over here. So I have this already kind of built out, and this is just a quick little, like maybe 45 minutes of me kind of blocking in everything, and that's where I wanted to bring you in. I'm gonna go in and tweak, readjust. To me, it's a re-sketch in a sense, but I don't sketch, so all this was just loose blocking out with paint. Now I'm gonna come in and sketch again with paint, try to dial in some of the values, try to get the angles and the shapes right, and I wanted to share that with you. It's one thing just to show you the perfect finished picture. It's fun to jump right into the creative process and show you how we get through all that. So, Roman's on the mic.
Yeah.
Write your comments in, and I'm gonna jump back into this piece, and it's good to hang out. It's been a minute. So, let's get to some painting. Roman, how are you, man?
I'm good.
Good, good. Guys, if you can see over here, I've got a black and white version of this, and I have the color version. And let's just show those two one more time, because I want to dial into what I'm thinking. So here's the color version, and there's so much extra contrast that's created with just even, do you have the black and white photo of this? Now let's go back to the color. The colors of the blues in the waves, the browns in the sand, the green in the wave, and that bright green where the light's coming through. Let's go back to the black and white photo. Look at that wave and look at where that light was coming through, and you had this really nice yellow in that green. Let's go color one more time. See that contrast? And then watch, even in the sky, there's like a subtlety as far as the left side has a little more yellow, the right side has a little more blue. It's subtle, but it's there. And then when we go to the black and white mode, it's all washed out. You guys have heard me talk about this so many times, but we're really gonna dive into that tonight as far as reassigning values, how dark or light of a shade to different colors so that we can create contrast that the camera doesn't see. Now, this is the way I've been doing it for years. There are newer ways, if I really wanted to, I could dive deeper into Photoshop with my black and white photo, and I could actually take each color and push it a different direction. And so I really haven't started doing that. I know how to do that, but I guess old school me, as far as the fill process, I still like to look at the color reference and just push and pull, do my little squint trick I always tell you about, and reassign those values, and that's what we're gonna do. And we're gonna work in the negative and the positive. We have a nice gray background. I'm gonna darken some areas and leave the lighter color to be the foam in some. In other areas, we're gonna paint the light foam on top of the dark areas. So we're not, some guys just like to work dark to light or light to dark. I'm all over the board. And that's what we're gonna do tonight. So, let's squint, let's look at our black and white reference, all right? And let's see what stands out. I'm gonna scoot back from the painting a bit. I think the one thing that I see the most, oh, I love that we have that up there, is that hole. This is trickier than it looks, guys. So, the darker forms of the waves are kind of what I want to bring out. Like here, when I look at my screen, that stands out. But what I also see is that these lighter areas haven't been lightened yet, right? I love that we can overlap that because you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So the background color that I first established with, that's actually really close to the right value. And what I put onto the top of the wave is close to the right value. Can we go tight? Let's go with our tight camera as we do that side by side. Yeah, perfect. So that light on the top is really a dark midtone gray when that can be our pure white. So it wouldn't hurt for me to throw some white in there, and that's gonna really help us establish our values, right? I think you guys have heard me talk about that. You lay in your midtones, right? And then once you've laid in your midtones, you want to get that pure black and that pure white in there as soon as possible, because then you really know your perimeters. You really know that darkest point and that lightest point. So let's find the right brush. And you guys talked me into it. We'll lay down some white in there first. I appreciate the advice. Thank you. That was good. Yeah. All right. So grabbing some white. We're going to take the whole palette. And we know it's going to be a game changer right out the gate. Let's find a good reference point, top of these waves over here, and start bringing that in. And now, instantly I'm going, well, how's that sky? How dark is that wave? Is that wave the right value? I'm not going to go for fine detail at this point in time, right? I will try to do a little reshaping. I'll try to be sure. I love it. You got two waves right here, one in front of the other. Be sure that I'm paying attention to how close the top of this wave is to that horizon. That's what's going on in my mind. I'm going, what can I reference to be sure? Now, I'm also finding my center. Let's be sure that we're centered here. And I like to jump into center and establish a reference point right there too. Because again, we're connecting the dots, and I'm always gridding in my mind. So here's the halfway point, and then this wave is, when I cut that in half, slightly off to that. So we are right on point as far as where this wave starts and stops. And then we have this wave behind it. And now I'm just going to lay in the highlight on this first row of waves. And again, pay attention to how close that is in reference to the horizon. And I love it because really, as I go to, I'm already starting to see just little subtleties and variations of what needs to be darkened and what needs to be lightened now that I have this true reference of pure white in here. I also see where this wave kind of peaks. And it might seem silly that I'm going in and reshaping this wave, right? It's like, who cares, because that wave can fall anywhere in there. But if you pay attention to the unique angles of everything, you really start to see, it's going to sound funny, what's going on between or underneath the water. Different sandbars create the waves to break in different directions and all that. And so the shapes, angles, directions of the waves, they're there for a reason. And if you stay true to those, to me, that's what creates the unique realism. And again, this is why I like to look at photo references versus painting out of my mind or imagination. There's so many unique shapes and angles that happen out in nature, but they are there for a reason. There's something that's creating and causing that. So, I don't want to, if I were painting all by myself, and I would go in and do every individual line. But I'm trying to teach you guys some stuff tonight. So we're going to lay in some. I'm going to try to lay in some white on each layer just so I have a good reference point. And I've already kind of pre-looked at this and saw how I want to reshape some things. One thing that I've already noticed that I want to reshape, I believe, we're going to take a second look, that this wave over here is a little bit wider. And so I'm going to come in and reestablish that. But before I do, I love how we're establishing this pure white, and that's going to help me judge and understand, is this the right value? Coming back to this piece, I wanted to darken this, right? But, because if I look at the reference, and you're seeing the reference right now, it seems dark compared to everything else, right? But as I put that pure white in there, I start to realize, no, that's the right value. Everything around that needs to lighten. And so, reference points, right? And pure white is a great reference point. So, we've laid it in one spot. Let's lay it in a few more and see what we learn as we go. And I really do feel like the Mr. Rogers comments are pretty accurate with how we're explaining this. I've had 3 random Mr. Rogers comments. I don't know exactly how I feel about that, but I think they were all said in love, and so I appreciate that. Roman, what do we have for some neat fun facts? I think we had some random stuff that we kind of loaded up to share with everybody.
Yeah, we actually, I think you, on our Facebook, you posted us, your work of a lighthouse piece.
Oh, yeah. So, trying to do just some different things, trying to push myself, challenge myself. Was scrolling through my images, ran across this really cool photo of the St. Augustine Lighthouse that I took, and it was fun. I actually took that when one of my best friends was in town. Do we have those photos?
I don't have the photo of the lighthouse. I have the photos of the painting.
Well, there you go. Let's go with that. That's what we're shooting for. So there's the initial sketch. And that was kind of different. I don't normally sketch, but I took some chalk and I kind of blocked out the background and blocked out kind of where the trees were going to be. And then there's a little of the progression, and I'm all in acrylic there, and I think there's a third shot, and there I've glazed the oil. Go back to the last one, and I wish we could zoom in. We can't really zoom in, but you'll see, when you see the lighthouse in person in the oil in the next shot, oh, wow, we can. Awesome. Good job, guys. Can you scroll up a little bit? Let's see.
Sure can.
Oh, my goodness. Let's see here. Wow. Cool. Now, we go to the oil version, and what's going on is I'm really dialing in. Now let's do that zoom in. And this is where it's starting to get like a photorealistic look. And actually, we had those backwards. This is the acrylic one. The last one was the oil one. And so there you go. There's the oil one. And now let's go to the acrylic one and zoom in on that. And this is where, when you zoom in, you start to see the transparency of the paint. And when you go to oil, can you zoom in even tighter and go a little higher?
Yeah, we can.
Here we go. And there's still some of the charcoal lines. Yes. And in person, you really see the difference. So this has been a fun challenge. You go back to the oil piece. there's this haze, and I think you now really see the improvement with the oil right there. And that's why I love that process. That haze is really cool when you have the oil, and you can bring that in. All right, let's hop back to, yeah, here we go. Here's where we're gonna see a big difference, because we have this wave that's kind of blocked in here, and I'm going to, I'm sure I'm hitting the right points. Here, I like it, I see it, I'm on it. But now, this wave's really gonna start to come forward, come to life, because I just loosely had sketched that in. I see all these dark values that we're gonna come back and add into here, and that's gonna add a lot of form and shape. And yes, love it. This is why we have to kind of go down that line, and this is why if I was really painting all by myself, I would. It's going to really establish and show me what needs to be done, how accurate I was in establishing what I did. A little more water, getting dry. What a difference one little color makes, right? I think I finished one of my latest animal pieces too. I think we have a picture of Free Willy. I actually got to deliver that. What's that? Oh, Wet Willy.
Wet Willy.
That's right. Free Willy is a whale. There's Wet Willy right there. That one, no, we can't call it Flipper. That name is taken. Thank you for that correction. I appreciate that.
And for those watching online, we do have a small live audience today.
We do. Actually, I was wondering, Roman, if we should have people write in to be part of the live audience so we could schedule that.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, so if you guys want to ever be in the studio while we create an episode, write on in. I just kind of thought of that. Like, that's been one of the long-term goals, but start writing in, and we're going to see if we can have someone respond to you. And I think we're getting close to our first official night where we have a little event here and have a big live studio audience.
That'd be really cool. We also got a couple comments that have come in.
Sure.
So Deborah Willis said, "This will be fun," referring to you putting up the black and white versus the color.
Oh, yeah.
We also have April DeRosa. She said she loves that piece, and she was referring to the lighthouse.
Oh, awesome. That piece, oh my gosh. Faith had put that on her social media, and her phone blew up. So I'm going to see where I can get with it. Definitely will be publishing that, so Giclées will be available. You know what? Do we have a picture of Key to Our Light, the other lighthouse I did?
We actually do.
So I haven't done that many lighthouses. This is the Key West Lighthouse. That's called Key to Our Heart. So I want to bring it to that level of realism, but at the same time, it is a foggy night, and I love that. It's got a very different mood. And I really wanted something from St. Augustine for all my St. Augustinians.
Augustinians?
Is it Majorcans?
I thought it was New Yorkers. New Yorkers.
Like, yeah, that's not where I was going. I know in Key West it's a conch. If you're from Key West, I didn't know what the St. Augustine name was if you're born and raised in St. Augustine. Little minor details I'm seeing to clean up as I come in and do this. So remember I said I was going to do some sketching? This is what I mean. As I go in and I put this highlight in here, I'm also kind of reshaping, paying attention to the angles that we're laying in here, and tweaking some things. So, as always, guys, stay loose. I know I am a little tight on the brush, but it's just because this light, I don't want to overdo the light and have to come back and clean it up. I'm just trying to lay it in real accurately. And that's going to help me understand my angles, my shapes. And I can already see this value is a hair dark, but not by much. And I also see where I have a little more room to go here. So nice little subtleties being reshaped as I bring in this highlight. And we're close. There's only one more little point. And then we're gonna start really working our values. Got this right here. Love it. And in all honesty, guys, I don't know if you ever heard me talk about it. A lot of times I'll listen to audiobooks while I paint because I see and know what I have to do right here. And I'm going, come on, brush. I wish it could go faster. So a lot of times I'm sitting here listening to a good audiobook while I paint. Or at nighttime, a lot of times it's a tasty beverage and some good music. And in the gallery, it's hanging out and chatting with you guys. But
We got a comment that came in from Charlie Lorenz.
hey, Charlie, what's going on?
He said, I love the colors you have gone back to. It works perfectly to a piece that we are looking forward to.
What are you referring to? I'm sure he'll write in. We'll find out. All right. Oh, yes, awesome. Their commission. That guy. All right, we got some good stuff laid in. So now, let's see what we've learned and let's see what we can apply. Got a good brush. Gotta do the squint thing. Very important right now. All right, and here, awesome. I immediately see a darkness in the wave that wasn't there. A lot of times, guys, it's not that we need to add light, it's that we need to darken something. And another interesting thing, you're seeing me, I don't know if the camera's tight on there, yeah. I'm laying down acrylic. This is wet, it's gonna dry, and I think it's actually gonna dry darker than what I laid down. And so give that 1 second. A lot of times people are like, what are you doing? I don't see the paint. It's because I don't want to go too dark. See, that's me trying to apply it, and that's really too dark. I was just trying to show you what I was talking about, that's all. Yeah, so. So that's too dark. So let's go back to this right here. And it's really about the subtleties. That's where realism comes into play. And now as we bring that down, we create the contrast right here, right? And I see the wave, I see the form, I see the shape. Here, let's get some measurements going on. Here, this is what I think is off. That's too dark. So we're gonna 2 birds, 1 stone. Same sort of situation. I'm gonna lighten this because that's too dark. Same here. We're gonna soften this. See all these little subtleties we're doing? Nothing major, but now that we have that white, it helps us dial it in. There she is. Man, I love the way the light was coming across everything this morning. In all honesty, guys, I had to get out there and talk to the big guy. My big inspiration in creating what I create, it is my faith, and it is slowing down to get out of your head and get out of what you think you should be doing and talking to God and hearing the truth that you need to hear. And he's there. He's always there. We're the ones that drift away. And the drift's not like this crazy bad thing. It's subtle. And it's just life. It's just all the things we deal with. But if you don't make that quiet time for yourself, that's what I highly recommend. That's what I'm trying to capture. That's what I'm trying to share. That's what I'm trying to encourage. And I will tell you, if you do that, the answers that you get in those moments, those are the good ones. That's when you hear that truth that you know, but you've kind of just ran in whatever direction you thought, usually with good intentions. But there's that little light drift. And just get back on track. Nothing wrong with that. So again, looks like I'm not doing anything, but wait a second. Wait for it. That's going to dry, and we're going to see these nice little subtleties. Remember what I did up there and it was too strong right out the gate? I'm trying to show you how we don't do that. And also, what's going on here? So let's use some references. There's a downward point right here. And then what's our distance? We're actually not that far off. The only thing I see is that we can actually do the opposite. We can lighten this area right here to bring the edge of the foam back. Sometimes that's it. Sometimes we don't need to darken. We need to lighten. Cool. There she is. And I wasn't putting the define. Let's see, one more little check. Yeah, I like it. We're there. Okay. I'm going to clean up this edge just a little bit more. There she is. Love it. And after that, what I see is I want to redefine the darkness. Guys, it's always dark, light, dark, light, dark, light. That's where our contrast is. That's how you get depth. That's how you get dimension. So we just lighten this here. Guess what the next step is? And if you're brave, you can mix all the way to that deepest, darkest value and lay it in. Or you can subtly work your way up. This is the circle of trust. It's a judge-free zone. We're not going to judge you, whatever approach you take there. I'm close. I'm not exactly there, but I'm really close to it. We're baby stepping just a little bit. Let's check our reference point. There's a high peak here, and this is where this point comes in, if I'm right. Let's see, double check. Here's a high peak. Ah, it's here. I was actually right on my first attempt. So the wave comes in just a hair right there. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go a little faster than normal so I can show you the effect. And we'll come back and we'll clean up. Because the real point I'm trying to show you is that dark value under here. As I lay that in, I notice how that value's here. I see some foam going on top of it, but we're going background to foreground, right? So the dark water is in the background of this section, and the foam on top is in the foreground of that. And I'm paying attention to the angle that it's going across the painting here. We've already laid a lot of this in, but we're just reshaping as we do this.
So we got a comment that came in from Charlie.
Sure.
He says, "We have few words in our life, but at that point, there's always a presence that pushes us in the right direction."
I like it. So I am looking at value, how dark this is, and angle to establish that. And this kind of goes back to that sketching I was telling you about. Let's do some sketching, right? Now, where does that fall? We find our center, we cut that in half. So I find my center, I cut that in half, and I was really close, but slightly off. And so now, we're reshaping. Yeah. There's some key little points in here, and we're bringing them in. I like it. Again, working not the darkest point. I like to bring that in last. My approach, guys, I like to work in the midtones. And once I have all my proportions correct, then I'll come in and really lay in. I was slightly off, and that's okay. Now we're cleaning that up. You can see it lightens as I go down this way. Maybe I wasn't off. I laid in a different part than what I thought I was doing right now. And what I'm doing right now, this is my approach. It's very much like I'm sketching. It's not the painterly mix and carve approach. And it's a big part of my style. There's no right or wrong. If an art teacher tells you there's only one way, tell them to talk to Phil.
Hey, we actually have a question that came in for you.
Sure.
So this is from Caroline, and she says, "What kind of books do you like to listen to while you paint?"
Well, right now I was recommended a really neat one by Jay Sheedy. It's called Think Like a Monk. It's very interesting. I'm enjoying that.
Is it like about having a life of solitude?
No. No, I had it recommended by a friend, and I love to listen to, inspirational, educational. I love a good sermon. I like to listen to my old church back out in Orlando. I think it's just good stuff that makes you think. And I love listening to different religions and cultures. That's just me. I think one of the greatest things we can do is have conversations where we're just trying to understand each other versus just push our thoughts and beliefs. And I think that's where true friendships really get made and earned, is just respecting each other's beliefs and values, and then sharing our own when asked for. That's a good part of it. Grabbing our thoughts or our beliefs into someone else, I've seen so much damage from that, and I don't encourage that. But I think the beautiful thing about the ocean and the seascape and nature, it's such a universal language. So many of us all feel that spiritual presence there. No matter what form of faith that we relate it to, I think there's an undeniable presence there. And so that's fascinating to me. And I love to hear people's thoughts on that, and always happy to share mine too. But the bottom line is, it's your journey. I think it's a fun part of our journey and our time to get out there and make relationship with God, the Creator, or however you view Him. And He wants that relationship. And I will tell you, I had so many good insights this morning. So many great art titles too. Holy cow. So I jotted all those down. Those are so hard to come up with after you've done over 1,000 paintings. I was doing the math and it's like, yeah, that's over 1,000 paintings.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a few. It's a few. Look at the subtleties, guys. This is where it comes to life. Look what the brush is doing. You guys have seen me do this before, and it's starting up. The brush is starting to move on its own. I have a good sense of the paint. There's a pressure of how much I push into it as I'm moving back and forth. And I'm not really thinking anymore. It's just look at the picture, what needs to be lighter, what needs to be darker. And again, there's the contrast, shadow, highlight, midtone. And we're gonna kind of bump around and lay those in. I'm squinting right now because there's a tricky part. This right here is so close to the right value. I think it actually needs more light. It's not dark. As much as I want to add darkness to it, I think the value there is correct. So let's find a good point where it's obvious. There she is. That's not light enough. So close. I will say I'm really excited to see Courtly because he actually shares a lot of the same ideas as far as his faith and incorporates that into his work, and it's just refreshing. It's just really nice to have two guys creating with that same sort of thought of the inspiration. I mean, our thoughts are kind of like we're being used in a good way. When this brush starts going, it just feels like we let go and we're just watching the big guy kind of use us and take control and go. I'm not thinking about this right now. I'm just glancing back and forth. It's a pretty amazing thing to be experiencing. And it's really the influence behind the initial start of my work. And that's where I feel like I drifted away from a little bit. Not in a bad way. Just in seeing opportunities and going, yeah, that's what I need to do. I got to focus on that. And this morning was like, no, I need to just go spend time, connect, and listen to whatever his agenda is for me, not my own. And I will tell you, there's such a sense of peace when you hear that right answer and you let go of the silly things that you thought were so important that weren't. It's a really unique place to have too many opportunities. And I say that humbly. I say that in a way of, I don't think I'm alone out there. And that's why I'm trying to share it. It's one thing that you work so hard to get to a certain place, and you get there, and there's so many other things going on. And you can lose sight of the initial idea. or a reason you were trying to get there. I found it. I ain't on some weird little crazy whatever. I'm there. It's this. It's creating. It's sharing. It's you experiencing that. That's what this is about. That's what the gallery's about. Sharing the creation process to inspire others to realize what their gifts are. And if that guy from Idaho, Phil, can do this, then what do you want to do? Because you can do it too. That's what he was pointing out to me this morning. Good stuff. All right. We were right. It's subtle lightness. And so that's why you have to be true to yourself. You got to squint. You got to look. Just these little subtleties that I'm seeing in there, we're bringing that in. That's pulling it to life. Same situation going on in this row below. There are these little highlights that create another, look, darkness, highlight, midtone, darkness. And as we do that, what do we see? More depth, more form, more shape. As my father-in-law would say, so simple. Love you, Fred, if you're watching. He would say that, though. Maybe not. I don't know. All right. Very subtle, but that's where the realism comes in, guys. Roman, how are we doing on time?
We are at about 47 minutes right now.
I got that internal clock built in.
Yeah, it's just ticking.
Boom, boom.
I think it's like 47 minutes, 30 seconds maybe.
Okay. Well.
Actually, there's something really cool that you still haven't shared yet with us.
Oh, what's that?
I think you did a collaboration with a guy who works with metal and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So speaking of collaborations, one of the first collaborations that I actually got to do with Dylan Powell, one of our newest sculptor artists. Do we have that footage? There it is. So we took lightning and added it to one of his stingrays. This was a great idea by a collector at one of our shows, and oh wow. First collaboration. There we go. Look at that. I love it. That took me a minute. I had an idea. He saw one of my abstract pieces and had the simplicity of lightning. And really it was 2 bolts and they were very directly down. And luckily I just actually recently created a new lightning piece that had that. And that lightning that swept across, and that really filled in the stingray, and that looked, I loved it. If I were just to do the 2 little bolts straight down, it was gonna be too thin and not enough in there. So, anyways.
That's really cool.
Yeah. That's all I've got for tonight. I mean, we've got, you see the process, you see the ideas, it's all in the subtleties, guys. And it's all going back, it's that highlight, it's that shadow, it's that, get that true white in there so you can really see what the real values are. And I think that's some good meat for you right there, as far as seeing where we were, how we cleaned up, how we shaped it up, adding that pure white in there, and then we could see the real values, and we came in and we blocked everything in. So those are the secrets. Don't tell anybody. And tune in, I think, next Thursday. We may or may not be here, so if we're not, then we will be here Monday. And we got the big show. Oh, and they're the live audience. Woo! Thanks for being here tonight, guys. And we will see you probably Monday, because I think we're gonna not be here Thursday because the big show is coming up that Friday. Have a good night.
don't forget to share and like this video to help support the artists, help support all that we do, and the gallery.